I'm Maren and welcome back to my channel, Maren Makes It. Today I want to do a makeup related video with you guys of what's in my makeup bag. I've been traveling for, I guess I would say almost about a year now. So basically I haven't had a permanent address in 11 months. For a while I was moving like every day or every other day. I was traveling really quickly to see a lot of the country. The last few months I've been doing house sitting, so I move more like every month as opposed to like every week. So my life's a little confusing right now. Anyways, the point of the story is that this means that I've really had to pare down my products that I use. Any makeup I have with me has to be my A team of makeup. Like I can't have any of the B team coming with me. Like they don't fit on the bus, you know what I'm saying? So I'm going to take you guys through what is in my makeup bag so that you can see some of my go-to and absolute favorite products. I think the order I'm going to go in is going to be the order in which I apply these products because I feel like that's kind of what makes the most sense to me. So the first thing, this is in a different jar than the container that it came in because the bottle it comes in is much bigger and I didn't want to have all of it with me while I was traveling. So this is the Hello Fab First Aid Beauty Primer. I used to love this product, but I don't know if it just has gotten kind of dried out or like weird on me. It's not my favorite primer anymore. I'm definitely in the market for a new one. If you guys have any suggestions, honestly, I've just been using my regular face moisturizer as a primer most of the time recently because I find this one, like, I think it doesn't give me enough moisture, and so I get like these flakes that create kind of a weird skin texture. So that's kind of the problem that I'm having with it lately. However, it is the only primer that I have in this bag, so I figured I'd still mention it. I also did love it for years before this, so I'm not quite sure what the problem is with this. But anyway, that's the primer that I do have with me if I did for some reason want to use it. The next product I have is going to be concealer. So I use this under my eyes. So this is going to be the Maybelline Super Stay Active Wear Concealer. So it looks like this. And the way that you apply this one is going to be, it just sort of unscrews and then it has this kind of a cap in the front. Hopefully the camera can focus on that so that you guys can see it. And then I usually use this under my eyes, like right here. And then if I have any other spots, I'll just sort of spot treat it, sort of, and just kind of dab on a little bit. I find this just helps give me a little bit more coverage than a foundation alone. I do also sometimes like to use this on my eyelids as basically a primer for eyeshadow if I'm doing like a bolder or darker eyeshadow look. But other than that, I'm really only using it under my eyes. If you're wondering what color I have here, I'm trying to find it. Okay, it says number 22 on the top, so that's kind of the only information I have for you guys. And this is just a regular product that you can find at CVS or Walgreens or Target. This is probably, I don't know, 12 bucks or something, this little bottle like this. You'll notice that some of my makeup is just drugstore makeup because it's like if I can find a really good product at that price point, like why would I not use it? There's other areas though where I definitely feel like upgrading to more of something that you find at Sephora or Ulta has been worth it for me and has made a big difference. So I'll kind of point that out as I go along and keep showing you these products. So we just went over primer and then also concealer. Now let's move to foundation. So when it comes to foundation, I really love the Bare Minerals Pro Foundation. This is in a pressed powder, so that means it looks like this as opposed to being a loose powder in the inside. Again, hopefully the camera is focusing on that. The color that I have is Warm Natural. It's number 12. This is the box that it comes in. I actually just had to get a new one because I used up my previous one, so that tells you just how much I love this product. If you're, first of all, getting to the point where a product's empty, and second of all, wanting to rebuy it, that's usually a really good sign. How I apply this most of the time is going to be with the Bare Minerals foundation brush. So this one is one of the ones that just sort of goes like this, and then it sort of slides like this out. And then it looks like this, and it's nice because in the middle here the fibers are more dense, and so it helps build a little bit of that coverage, but on the outside here they're sort of like intentionally tapered and like a little bit wispier, so you can kind of use that side for blending a little bit more. And then I really like that it just sort of stores itself this way. And this brush is called the Core Coverage Brush officially, if you're looking for what it's called, but it's basically sold as the brush that goes along with the Bare Minerals Pro powder. I really like this foundation because, first of all, it matches my skin color great, which is always a struggle, but I think it's a really good level of coverage for me because I am really not somebody who wants or needs like a very full coverage or heavy feeling like liquid kind of foundation. And I don't really like the texture that I get when I have like really thick amount of foundation on, but at the same time I still need some coverage because obviously for like camera work, like you're in really bright lighting a lot of the time. and you do want some coverage in order to correct some of those maybe skin imperfections or just blemishes that we all get from time to time. And so I really have liked this product for that. Ironically, I'm actually not wearing this today in the video. I'm actually not wearing any foundation. The only products I'm wearing right now are going to be my lashes, which are going to be from Lash Links. These are N4s going all the way across, and the lash map's going to be 10s in the inner corner of my eye, 14, 16, 16, 14. So going from the inside to the outside, and those are going to be all in N4s. I have them a little bit overlapped on the corners just to make sure there's no gaps, but that's going to be my current eyelash look. And then I'm actually testing out a new product for you guys from Eye Method Eyebrows for my eyebrows. So I have that on right now. So if my brows look like they're done, that would be why, but those are the only products I'm wearing today. I kind of was in a time crunch, so I got to decide between doing my makeup and filming a video about makeup, and I decided that filming a video about makeup for you guys was the priority today. Okay, so now moving on to the next step. So after I would do my foundation, what I would do is contour my face. So I usually do my nose and also my cheekbones. So what I actually use to contour usually is foundations that are in different shades. So these are both drugstore foundations from L'Oreal. This is going to be W1 and this is going to be N8. So this is a foundation that's lighter than the color that I would wear with L'Oreal. I think I'm a 3 or a 4 on their scale. And then this is obviously an 8, so a lot darker than what I would normally wear. And I basically just use these foundations to contour my face because I don't really see like why you need necessarily a different contour product. Like you could just use a darker foundation. I do also have this here L'Oreal Infallible Pro Contour Palette. So it's a little one that gives you both a light one and a darker one. I would say that this kind of tannish brown color is pretty similar, maybe a little bit cooler toned than the N8 here that I use. This right here is similar to the W1 foundation that I use as a highlight, except for it's a little bit sparkly. So if I want a little bit of sparkle, I might use this one instead. But honestly, really, I could totally get by with either this or these two together. I really don't need both of them. I honestly don't even know why I have both of them. But since they do all work for me, I'm going to just keep using them until I use them up. And then probably I just will choose one of the things to keep going with in the future, because I really don't like having redundant products. Like it really annoys me when I have multiple products that all do the same thing. And part of that is definitely just having to do with the fact that when you're traveling, you really don't have space for that. And anything extra that you have kind of turns into a burden and just like it's another thing to pack basically. But also I just think it's kind of like a waste of money because the makeup might expire on you before you even get a chance to use it up when you're buying like a lot of products that all do the same thing. And again, all of these things are going to be ones that you can just get at like Target, CVS, Walmart. These are drugstore products. In terms of blush, I do have one blush. I honestly barely use it, but if I do need a blush, I'll use the L'Oreal one. It's that same line, the True Match line, like the highlight and contour ones I was showing you. It's gonna be, let's see, Innocent Flush. And as you can see, I've used it quite a bit, and also it fell on the floor and broke into this terribly crumbly powder. So now that's what I'm left with in order to kind of struggle to use up. But I really hate throwing away product, so I'm gonna keep it and keep using it until it's used up. And honestly, I actually sometimes use this as like a pink eyeshadow color too. So as you can see, you'll notice a theme that a lot of my products that are just sort of these pressed powders, I'll kind of interchange between contouring, blush, and then also highlight and also eyeshadow. I just sort of mix and match as I please, and also depending on the lighting and the color of my skin that day, basically like how tan I am, if I've been outside in the sun at all, if I've done any fake tanning, I can kind of adjust accordingly with these products. Now the next thing I'll talk about is sort of application method. So I have this little case in here. This is actually from a gum container, but I have in here regular Q-tips. I have these ones that are for eyeshadow. I have some of the makeup wedge sponge type things, and then some clean spoolie brushes, as well as some lip gloss applicators. So these are kind of all the things you'd find at Sephora that you would use like disposably to try out products. I like to have those along just because like if I end up helping somebody else with their makeup or something, I don't have to use my brushes or worry about like there being sanitary issues. Also, because it's just me, I'll oftentimes just like reuse the same one. Like I'll use the same spoolie brush over and over again to kind of brush through my lashes if I have any clumping going on. It's not like I'm using all of these products as a single-use product all of the time. But I think these are kind of essentials to have in your bag, especially if you're going to do stuff like shows or photo shoots where sometimes you might get into a situation where you have to do your own makeup or you have to help somebody else with their makeup or you're touching up makeup kind of at the last minute. It's nice to have something disposable so you don't have to pull out all your brushes. That being said, I also have some extra wedges here. So what I use these wedges for is when I want a more full coverage look of the Bare Minerals foundation as opposed to what this brush gives me. What I'll do is I'll use the wedges, and especially sort of under my eyes. I'll also sometimes use the edges of the brushes as like a way to contour. Basically, I use the sponges the same way I use brushes, I guess, is kind of the answer to that question. It really just kind of depends on my mood. Also, if I've been really lazy about washing out my brushes and they all already have like a ton of product caked into them, the wedges can be a good alternative. And again, I'll reuse those. I usually don't use them as single use. Like I'll usually have like one going that's like the highlight one that's lighter than normal, one that's like the brown one that's like the contour one, and then one that's the color of my foundation, so that I can kind of keep using them for multiple uses for each one. And let's talk about brushes, since I've talked about all these other application tools. So this is the brush that I have. This one I got on Amazon. I'll link it down below. I got it years ago. I think it was like maybe like 15 bucks, but I actually really like the brushes that came in it. So all of the ones that you see that are brown like this are the ones that actually came in it. Over the years, I've kind of replaced some of them with brushes that I like more, or also as I've lost ones, or occasionally I've sacrificed them to art projects. I've replaced them with other things. But all of the brushes I have are ones from like Target or I think Ulta occasionally, but most of them are going to be Target. I think these silver ones actually I got in a pack at TJ Maxx one time. There was like a 2-pack or something. Basically what I'm trying to say is like I don't have the fanciest or the nicest brushes. None of these brushes were over, I'm going to say $14 on their own. And I just don't feel like it's that necessary to spend that much money on a brush, because sometimes you see brushes and they're like 40 bucks. Like me shelling out for this baby, I knew it would be an investment and I'd use it a lot, but that really hurt. I'm really not like a person who wants expensive makeup just to be able to say like this is an expensive makeup thing. Like there's lots of less expensive products that work just as well in my opinion. But basically I have all the essentials here. So from your bigger sort of loose powder brush or sort of like a just general blending brush is basically what I use this one for, to your really small brushes like this one, which you can use for eyeliner or eyebrows. And then some different shaped ones for different eyeshadow purposes. If you guys want me to talk about brushes more in depth and like what I do with each of these, I can totally do that. That would be kind of fun for me to talk about, because I feel like I've been on a bit of a journey over the last few years, just kind of figuring all this out on my own, because I really didn't know a lot about makeup. I don't know where like people learn makeup. I guess it's just trial and error for most people. But I think at this point I'm pretty good at least at doing kind of daily makeup, or even a little bit nicer than that makeup, just nothing like too crazy. But anyways, I would love to talk more about the brushes and what their purposes are, because I think that's something that not a lot of people talk about. It's like one of those basic things that's like you assume that people know it, so nobody talks about it, but then nobody actually knows it kind of thing. Of all the things in this case, want to guess which one I use the least? All right, so it's actually this one. So I thought this was brilliant at first, because I was like, whoa, Beauty Blender combines with the brush. Because one of the things I didn't like about Beauty Blender is the fact that like it doesn't have a handle on it. But this is like useless. I honestly don't understand how to use this. I don't understand what Beauty Blenders are for. I understand these little wedges. I've had a Beauty Blender before. I used it the same way as I use the sponge, except I felt like I had less accuracy because it was a circle shape instead of like a wedge shape, if that makes sense. I thought this would kind of maybe help me with that, but honestly, the end result is just that I never use it, and I probably should just throw it out. I just feel kind of guilty because I spent money on it. All right, now let's talk about eyeshadow. So I only have one eyeshadow palette in my entire bag here, and it's really the only eyeshadow palette that I even own. Basically, a couple years ago, I ditched all the cheap little eyeshadow palettes that I would buy at CVS for like $10 here, $10 there, and I decided to just invest in one really good palette. And now I've had that palette for 6 years. Oh my gosh, 6 years. So while it looks expensive to buy a nice palette sometimes, and at first I definitely had sticker shock when I saw like it's like 50 bucks for one palette, when I've been spending like $10 on drugstore makeup before that. Buying this one was definitely an investment that has now literally lasted me for years and is going to continue to last me unless like something happens to it. And as you can see from the amount that has been used, I have definitely gotten my use out of this, I'm hitting the bottom pan on quite a few of these colors. So this palette is going to be the Shade and Light Eye palette from Kat Von D. You can see how much I've handled it because you can't even read it anymore. You can't really read the back and the color names anymore either. But what I like so much about this palette is that you have mostly matte colors and no shimmers. So my eye shape with hooded eyes makes it a little bit harder to wear shimmers, I guess is the way that I would put it, without drawing attention to the hood of your eye. So shimmers and light colors will bring something forward. So if I put like a shimmer right here, it will draw attention to the fact that I have hooded eyes. Versus if I put a matte color right here that's darker, it will kind of push the hood of my eye back. And so because that was a look that I liked more than having the hood of my eye kind of pronounced or drawn out, I was really attracted to this palette because it's all matte colors. You have no shimmers, which a lot of palettes have a mix of both. Some people might find that to be great, but personally, since I knew I wasn't going to be really using the shimmers at all, that was not something that appealed to me in an expensive palette. And then the other thing I really like about this one is just that there's so many neutrals. Like, I don't want to wear green eyeshadow or blue eyeshadow. Like, maybe I did at one point, or maybe if I'm dressing up or something, like it's fun to have a color, but in general, I'm not really going for that kind of look for my daily makeup. And maybe it's not as fun, and maybe it's more boring to just stick to neutrals, I don't know, but realistically, like, how many people are actually using like the bright green and like the bright purple that comes in some of these palettes that you see at Ulta that are just as expensive as this one? So I really like this palette because all of the colors were ones that I felt like I would use. Again, to kind of go back to that concept of using eyeshadow for other things such as contouring or highlighting, I will sometimes use like the white or the this top right color here, which is called Ludvin, I think. It's a little bit rubbed off the writing, but I think that's what it's called. But anyway, I'll use that one as a highlight sometimes, and I'll also use like this one here and then this light brown here as a contour, so as the darker color sometimes, as well as the black as an eyeliner on an eyeliner brush. I'll use the dark browns here for my eyebrows sometimes, so I'll just put them on a fine brush and just sort of go over my eyebrows to make them a little bit more pronounced. And then sometimes I'll use this pink as a blush, or even this darker red, like very lightly if I'm going for a more dramatic look. Basically, by doing all this, I'm getting a ton of use out of this palette still, and I'm really glad I did the research at the time to figure out like which palette would actually work for what I would like to use it for, and also sort of for my general skin tone and complexion. But this one is a keeper and something I've been lugging around for literally 5 years now. I own exactly one lip liner. I have no idea why I have this because I almost never use it, but I guess occasionally I'll use a lip liner, and then this one is generally a good color for me. It's a Bare Minerals one. It is in the shade Generation Nude or Gen Nude. So if I ever need a lip liner, this is the one this is sort of my go-to one. I do like it. I just am not really somebody who uses lip liner that much. But I think it's nice to have one just in case you do need it for something. Getting to the end of my makeup bag here, I don't know if you guys can tell, but here's 2 random spoolie brushes that were just hanging out in there. The very last product that I have in my makeup bag before it's all empty. Oh, that was a chapstick that just fell out. I didn't even know that was in there, but chapstick is good for you guys too. I do have a few lip colors, but I usually just use a nude gloss from NYX. It's like $5 at the drugstore. And those are pretty much the only lip colors I'll use. But I keep those ones in my purse, so that's why they're not in my makeup bag today. Then the very last product I have is I actually have a mascara, would you believe it or not? With all the fake lashes I do have a go-to mascara, and I have been using this one since 2016, I want to say. 2016. Not like this exact one, because I obviously replace them when they get dried out or used up. But since 2016, my go-to mascara has been Maybelline New York Lash Sensational Full Fan Effect in waterproof in the color Blackish Brown. So there you go. And I do use this mostly nowadays on my lower eyelashes, but I used to use it on my upper eyelashes too. One of the reasons I like it so much, besides the fact that it's waterproof, is also just I really like the shape of the front applicator brush. I find it easy to use, and sometimes with hooded eyes, I think it gets a little bit weird with mascara applicators, but this one I find to be a really good shape for me. And so honestly, I am the kind of person who, like, if I find something that really works, why would I change it? Like, I mean, if there's a good reason to try something new, I'm all for trying something new. But if you have something that's tried and true and really works, then don't reinvent the wheel. That's the quote I'm looking for. And also, I love that this is a cheap one from the drugstore. It's like I don't know, $12, $13 maybe nowadays this. When I first started getting it, I'm pretty sure it was $8.99 every time, but of course that's gone up in price since then. But anyway, this is my go-to mascara. All right, so this is everything that I have in my makeup bag. These are the products that I have literally lugged with me for 11,000 miles of driving and around so many different living and sleeping situations for the last 11 months. So it's safe to say this is my A-team, and these are products that I am going to stick with for years to come that I really feel comfortable recommending to you guys. Anyways, I want to hear your guys' thoughts. Have you tried any of these products? Do you like these products? Are there any ones that I mentioned that you really don't like? What are your thoughts on drugstore makeup versus like the nicer stuff from Sephora or Ulta? Anyways, I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope you thought it was interesting to see what's in my makeup bag. I always think it's interesting to see what other YouTubers use, so I hope you found this one interesting today. I'm going to link everything in the description down below so that you guys can take a look if you guys want to try any of the products that I'm using. As always, thank you guys so much for watching. I appreciate your time, and I hope you're having a great day wherever you are. Bye, YouTube!